Please stand. Mr. Wolf, carry and lead us in prayer.
Father, we just want to thank you for this day. This is a day that the Lord has made, and we will greatly rejoice and be glad in it. Father, we want to tell you that you're absolutely welcome in this place so that we can sit down and reason together tonight and come up with whatever it needs to be to make the city great and bless the people of this city. Lord God, I just thank you for everything that you're doing for all of us in Cleveland, Texas. Keep us all safe and protected and in good health. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Marilyn, you want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let the record show that all councilmen are present. First item on the agenda is a public hearing on the open public hearing for the zoning. This is zoning regulation and comprehensive plan is authorized by 212 Texas Local Code. Is anyone here? Anyone on Zoom?
No Zoom or Facebook comments.
This is for consideration and possible action to adopt an ordinance amending the city's comprehensive plan and approve modified setbacks for non-conforming lots. Anybody on Zoom?
No, sir.
Scotty, you got Okay, declare the public hearing closed. Public comments. Any public comments? Okay, then we can go on to, I'd like to skip to item 6, it's consideration and possible approval to list conditions on the final plat for the Cleveland ISD Northside School located near FM 2025.
Mayor, Council, Council already approved a preliminary plat for the new proposed school that will be located in 2025, the May 21 meeting. We also have Tom here representing TMP. They are the ISD's architect and engineer. If you have any questions, I would like to mention that HR Green has reviewed the preliminary plat and provided their conditional approvals on items, and we've worked through those issues.
Tom, do you have anything to add?
No, sir. Mayor, Council, thank you for letting me be here tonight. No, sir, we don't. And as Mr. Pennington said, we're been working through those with your consultant as they review that. So if there's any questions, I'm certainly here to answer those for you tonight.
Road looking good?
Well, we haven't got there yet, but we're trying to get there.
Council have any questions?
No, sir. I don't.
There is a list of items in your packet. There's 8 items recommending for considerable approval based on following conditions. And so there's some benchmarks that have been set, but we moved to approval or, we recommend it.
Mayor, well, if there's no questions, and you say that it has been, reviewed by the HR Green, if there's no more questions, I would just like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the conditions, on the final plat for this project.
Is that,
Mayor, go ahead.
sorry, that to approve item 1 through 8? Those are conditional approvals, and if they meet the conditions, then it is approved based on those conditions.
I'll second. We have a motion from Marilyn, and a second from Mr. Franklin. Any other discussion, council? All those in favor, right hand. All those against, same. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, appreciate that, thanks for moving me up there. You guys have a beautiful day.
Okay, item 4 is consideration and possible action on zoning commission's final approval on an ordinance for the city of Cleveland, Texas, amending Division 2 of the Article 4 of Chapter 126 zoning by adding a new section 126-124 establishing detached residential district, providing a penalty as provided by Section 126.5 and Section 110 of the city's Code of Ordinances, providing for an effective date and establishing publication requirements, repealing all ordinance in conflict with the ordinance, providing for serviceability and making other provisions related to the subject.
Mayor, council, staff asked city council to direct zoning commission to look at reducing the setbacks on non-conforming lots. The zoning commission held their public meeting on June 7th. The council was required to hold a public meeting, which was done at the beginning of this, before tonight. And the zoning, at that zoning meeting on the 7th, board member Mike Henry made a motion to approve the ordinance for non-conforming lots as presented to the zoning commission, with the second from Brent McWaters. All members voted yes. Motion carried. And basically, those setbacks go from, on the non-conforming lots, go from a 10-foot setback to a 5-foot setback. And Angela, remind me that the setback in the back stays the same at 10, or does it go to 5 as well?
The setback in the back goes to 7 feet if there's a utility easement. If there's no utility easement, it's a 5-foot setback. And that's the same for the sides. It has a 5-foot setback on the sides. That just allows the homeowner a little bit more room to build on lots that are already non-conforming. Of course, if a lot is made smaller, they would have to ask a variance. These are only for lots that are already non-conforming.
And Mayor, Council, we were having so many variance requests due to the setbacks. That's why we decided to change the setbacks for the non-conforming lots.
Okay, so the 7 feet, so this is 7 feet from the road or what? 7 feet
7 feet from the property line.
property line?
Correct.
Okay.
That's on the back setback, but the side setbacks are 5 feet. So you could have a situation where you have a house next to you, but it won't be less than 10 feet apart from each other.
One more question. So was this a problem in already developed residential areas, or is this for the new?
This is not for the new area. This is actually, a lot of this was in the Glen Park area, as well as precinct 20 would have their smaller lots. That means there may be deep lots, but the frontage is limited.
Okay.
A standard lot is 75 feet, so anything less than that would fall in this non-conforming lot.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve this ordinance.
Can I second that, please?
Got a motion from Carol and a second from Marilyn. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Against, same sign. Okay, item 5, consideration and possible approval award of the bid for request for proposals for landscaping project for downtown.
Mayor, council, this is the second request for proposal, and that was sent out for this project. There were no bidders at the first request, but we did find a company that handles the service, and they did come to speak to some of the council members and the beautification committee. Met with a representative of the company in a separate meeting, and the committee made some recommendations to the bid document and changes. And so we're recommending that we move forward with the winner, which is Ambassador Services at $18,500.
What all is Ambassador Service? What are they gonna do?
They're going to design and make the recommendation for the plantings, and this will only be in the area of the downtown area.
So they're not gonna be doing putting any, this just for design.
This is for the design. That is correct.
That's it.
That's correct.
Well, why do we have to pay somebody $18,000 with what?
No,
Well, I got another question. How much money have we spent on downtown on that project? Wasn't that about $500,000?
It's a little less than that,
that
I
was a
believe,
grant.
but majority of that was
It was
grant.
a grant.
Well, how much did the city spend?
That I could say around 150,000. I'll
So
have to
we
look
spent
back.
$150,000.
We didn't spend all of it. We actually have about $40,000.
We're gonna spend probably another $150,000.
Actually, we had set aside $90,000 of EDC money to do phase 2.
Okay. My question is, with all the potholes, we published a list of the roads, streets that we're gonna repave. There's people already complaining about why isn't my street on the list? Now, for $18,000, that could go for somebody's street. I mean, it would be hard for me to look somebody in the eye and tell them we spent $18,000 for what? That could go, if you ride down Southline Street, it's probably flooded now, that could go on some culverts or something.
Yes, sir. A lot of the projects that we do are a balance of
Well, I mean,
the city
I
operations.
thought it was gonna be putting some flowers or something. What happened to the beautification? Keep Cleveland beautiful, we had going, what they supposed to do stuff like that?
They did in the past.
I'm asking about
They're an inactive board at this time. They did provide that assistance in the past.
it. So,
But I will say that we're spending $1 million on overlay. My objective is to put quite a bit of money towards, a hefty amount of money towards taking care of potholes and cutting those out and fixing our streets. I know that is a priority.
well,
I also want to help the beautification because it puts value back on the ground.
I'm not asking you what you want. I'm not asking you. I just asked you how much that we spend. And what I'm saying to you is that, and I'm saying to the council, you got people now that got potholes that not gonna be filled. And for $18,000, and we've already spent money on downtown, you know. That's my opinion.
James, did you talk to these people?
But we're not through with downtown. What we've spent so far has been a grant.
Majority of
Did we spend $150,000?
Majority of it was
On
grant
what?
funds. I can give you an actual dollar amount that was our match. I will say, what I remember is the city had provided a portion of that match. I have to go back and look. I believe it was 75,000. The EDC put 75,000. If my memory serves me right.
That's correct.
And then EDC put in another I want to say 100,000 on top of that.
Well, I understand that. All I'm saying is, I just think spending $18,000, what are we gonna have to show for it? Spending $18,000.
Now, Bobby, this is just those two beds, right?
That's those two beds. I want to improve our downtown.
No, that's not what I'm talking about, Doc.
But
That's
you
our thing. We wanna improve the downtown.
Yes, sir. And
Okay, that's why we got the grant, that's why we did what we did. All I'm saying is, with the money that have already been spent on downtown, I think that $18,000 could go to fixing some of these potholes where the everyday person gotta run, they call them potholes every day.
yes, sir.
Okay, that's my point. I'm not saying that it's not needed. Maybe Kingwood or Humboldt or Conroe or Woodlands. But, we got a lot of poor people here in Cleveland. And it's paying taxes. Okay, and I just couldn't justify that we spend that kind of money.
Is there anybody else that we can get more bids from than this company?
Well, this is the second time that we've gone out, and we really feel like that this company could do the service if council is willing to go in that direction. I will tell you that making sure that we take care of our downtown core is very important. That's going to put value back into the taxable value.
That's not what I'm talking about. We already know that. I know that. All I'm saying is, how can we justify spending $18,000 on a survey? And it's not what is it gonna do? What is it gonna benefit the everyday working person that's making minimum wage? They got an old beat up car that's going down these roads with potholes in them.
Yes, sir.
It would be okay for me. My street is okay. And every one of us sitting up here, our streets are okay. But I'm talking about the people that on that list. Okay. That street not gonna be repaired. I'm just one vote.
Yes.
I just gave my opinion, so.
So to me, it's just $18,000 for those two beds. It's just crazy. You can buy 10 pickup loads of stuff down there in Willis Nursery, bring it back down here and plant it.
What happened to the Cleveland beautification?
That was a separate organization from the city. It's just inactive.
Since when? Have they been approached to anybody?
I want to say roughly 5 years. I know that the chamber had helped the organization out as far as making sure that getting the paperwork and making sure that the entity didn't necessarily go away, but it's inactive.
Okay, well, that's just my opinion. That's me personal. I'm just looking at it. Everybody got their own set of eyes. Everybody got constituents that they have to deal with every day. And the majority of the people that I deal with, that I have to talk to, people from every section of Cleveland, it would be hard for me to explain to them that we spent $18,000 on a survey. That would be a stretch. But I'm just speaking for me and the people that I know. I know people all over the city.
Yes.
So that's my opinion.
Mayor, city manager, we're not about to start this project right now, are we?
I didn't understand.
Are we about to start this project now to go ahead and put this, is that what you're trying to do? Go ahead and put this in action?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what about the phase two? The phase two is the other end of the city, right?
That's correct. In the area that we're looking at, the 18,000 takes into consideration that area as well. So it takes in 3 or 4 long blocks. So it goes all the way down. It's in your packet. It goes all the way from Booth all the way to Bond.
Why don't we have a packet?
So saying that, So I don't, how would it, I mean, can't we just wait until we get the phase 2 done before we go ahead and put this in action? That way, when we start doing it, it would not be sort of offset or just one end beautified and the other end not. I mean, that won't go too well.
Correct, I can see that point. We could wait until section 2 is done. We could also have the design and incorporate that as part of the phase 2 to incorporate the landscape design as well. So the idea is that we figured out the landscaping for the southern part of that project. You know, we're looking at, there was a deal that was made decades ago, on the Hanson, through the railroad there. So we want to make sure that we want to design that correctly. We want to make sure we take care of our central business area, so we keep our sales tax and our property taxes, valuable and,
Bobby, I'm just trying to get right my head around 2 beds costing $18,000.
yes, sir, it's not, there are 2 beds in there, but there's.
But we're not talking about
But there's more than that.
2, we're just talking about this phase.
Yes, sir. But you're talking about a design from Booth Street.
What is there to design about flower bed? I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
And maybe we can find someone that has the horticultural, background that can probably put that, keep it clean and beautiful, plan back in action, and maybe we can utilize that. But I think we moved, I agree with making the city look good, but, after the flooding, and I see that's on here, after the flooding, and see all the areas that are being, flooded and damaged, and it's just so much more we can do.
Yes, ma'am.
But once we get,
But this is downtown.
yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. And downtown flooding too. Did you come out when it was raining last time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's flooding too. So if we can take care of those things, and when we get ready to do all this, we wouldn't have that big of a problem. And I just can't see one end being done and the other end not done, you know, do it all together.
Do we think there's someone else in town that could do it besides this investment?
They didn't place a bid on it, but on the other part in town, there's already plants and trees and flowering plants there right now. And little, it's just the city, I guess, it's been there for years. See, the other ones we tore down.
Where is this at? She talking
There's 2 or 3 flower beds that are part of the south or north Travis Street. And that's, I will tell you, that's what started this conversation is we had those beds and I wanted to make sure that we had a professional that can do that. No, I don't believe we should spend $18,000 on 3 flower beds, but I sure think that we should spend some funds towards beautifying our downtown, our
Well,
central
that's
business.
what we spent the $500,000 for already. Beautiful.
But it didn't include flowers or flower beds or any of that, Danny. It just included the sidewalks and the parking.
What I'm saying is, in a perfect world, that would be great for Kingwood or Woodlands or something. But we got streets now that are terrible.
But we deserve our city to look nice.
Yes,
We deserve that.
you're right. I agree with you 100%. You know, but let's slice it up fairly though, you know.
Bobby, is there no other way to do it other than doing a study on it? To see what they can do?
We could go out and we could search and look for volunteers to help us and do the planting.
We've done that before, it will not work.
But if I would make this comment, I went by the library and noticed the, I guess you could say the landscaping in front of the library. It is not written well, and I saw one flower container that had flowers and one didn't. I was talking to the librarian, and she said that was an organization out of Liberty had volunteered to come and plant flowers. I don't know who it is, I don't remember, but maybe something to that effect, you know. I don't know.
I think that that was a student project that was done.
For the children.
I'm gonna say, yeah,
Okay.
I understand 18,000 is a lot. And it's a chicken and egg thing. I want to make sure that the idea of bringing this forward is to build up our downtown.
We built it up, though.
Yes, I
I
understand.
don't think, I just think $18,000 is way too much to spend.
May I make a suggestion or something? The $18,000 levy, is it also including the landscaping, is the water system, it's the drainage, it's.
No, it's not including any of that.
It's including 6 planning meetings with city officials and beautification committee members to
Correct.
discuss landscaping options and long-term plans and goals for the town mall. Town mall is a railroad track and the green space there. And then, it also, additional meetings required with the designer and subcontractors, and it sets a rate, and, 1 revision is included. Additional revisions, will be billed, on time and material. So it's basically setting the stage for the way that we want the downtown to look. So we looked at 3 blocks, and the idea is that we would take that and we expand it to our facilities for the rest of downtown. And it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. And these folks here, they do the work for the Woodlands and the Sugarland, and I know that we're not the Woodlands, Sugarland, Kingwood, but I want to make sure that we have a very beautiful city that people and young families that we can.
We gotta start cleaning up first.
I live here.
Yes,
Y'all want to see it. All I'm saying is, giving somebody $18,000 to tell us how to do something, not gonna, basically what you said that we was gonna get out the deal. I mean,
I'm also
I
beautifying.
just don't see it.
I am also beautifying, and I think I've had this conversation with Mr. Franklin before, but there is so much more we need to do before we start planting flowers. I'm just gonna say that. If we don't clean up our city, the flowers is not gonna be anything. We have beautiful flowers in a dirty city. Stripes, paint downtown, painting the buildings, putting stripes in the parking lots. Let's do those little things first. But we gotta do it, and we've been talking about this ever since I've been on council. And beforehand, Carolyn, and you know this, even at one of the parks, we just decided that we was gonna go paint the stripes ourselves. But then later, when the stripes were painted, we saw the big difference that it made. So when you begin to start the power washing and cleaning up, it makes a big difference. Then you can give some type of incentive for paint or communicate with the other businesses that paint these buildings. And then we can do all this other stuff that we need to do. I'm all for the beautifying, but we need to do other things before we get into that.
Well, I'll have to add to that. Then there's been some poor stewards of our city in previous years that have not maintained the beautification of Cleveland, the paving of the streets, the beautification of everything that we talked about, the ditches, everything you talked about. We've heard this since 2007. We've heard it before that, and we're still here today, twiddling our thumbs, talking about it, and we're gonna go on talking about it. But I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this and get it going, because we need to start somewhere.
But James, you're throwing money away.
I make a motion that we approve this.
Can we use the kids can we use the kids at the junior high and high school that might be doing these kind of classes so they can earn their extra credits or grades for their next level?
They don't have anything like that, and like Marilyn said, they won't be responsible for it.
Well, now, wait, let's stop. James made a motion.
I'll second
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, raise their right hand.
Wait, I think I'll wait a little bit, get everybody,
It's,
put it
you
back.
got anything?
Yes.
Fail.
Yes, everyone else said that.
Yes. Okay, item 7, consideration and possible approval for a resolution of the City Council of the City of Cleveland, Texas, opposing an application of the land use solid waste permit from Peach Creek Company to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. care of this, that man we talked to last week. And
Yes,
This is
right.
signed with them.
I think from meeting with this guy and listening to what he has to say, as a lifelong resident of Cleveland, we really need to, listen to what that man is saying. We talk about the health. We just left Millennium Oncology, and we've had more cancer in Liberty County than, it's hit a lot of people. And it's at landfill there, that's something we really, even though it's not in the city, but we really need to be on the lookout for that.
And this resolution helps us, at
Yes.
least it
You making that a motion then?
Yes, I mean, it's something that we need to, we need this. Okay.
we need to oppose, we need to oppose
This
this.
resolution, about gonna bring that landfill, about gonna bring that landfill, because see, that can mess with our water, everything.
Yes, this is.
So,
Go ahead.
let me ask this so I can understand. So, he was talking about somebody bringing all this waste or
Waste.
Yeah.
and they wanna put it,
Have you ever been out there
Jay Hawker
fixing
Road.
roads or anything, Maryland? It's just,
no, I didn't,
it's just right at us, so, I mean, it's,
Too close to you.
but there's, residents close by or?
It's in St. Lucie County, it's out on 1725. If you take 105 Foxborough Road and you head back, that'd be headed back northeast kind of. When you get 1725, before you hit 1725, Jay Harper is back to the left. So it's real close, 1725 in that area, that's where.
It's in our backyard.
I don't think
So why
that,
would we want that?
well, nobody, that's
We
why
don't.
the resolution, I don't think
That's
anybody,
why we're trying to
we
stop
don't
it.
have that.
now that company probably wants it, but they're gonna make a,
But they're from Mississippi.
I made the motion.
okay, Danny made the motion, Marilyn seconded, any other discussion on the landfill? All those in favor of it, being against the resolution, or for the resolution, okay.
Are we for it against?
Okay.
We're for doing it.
For the resolution being against the
Yeah, we're for it.
landfill, raise your right hand if you're, okay. Okay, item 8 is consideration of possible action on the cost of repairs to the Cleveland Fire Department's E-42 engine 2008 Pierce in the amount of $26,183.
Mayor, council, I brought this to you, it's more, well, I want you to, we're recommending that we approve the payment, but I want to give you kind of an idea of the importance of the pumper truck and the cost. We bought a pumper in 2016 for nearly $700,000. That price has gone up. They're quite an expensive apparatus. We typically use them, keep them on for 20 years plus, at least 20 years. We have 3 pumpers. We have a 99 model. We have this 2008 that's giving us fits, and we have a 2016. We bought the 2016 as our primary pumper, and then we put basically the 99 as a reserve pumper. So we've had 2 pumpers, now we have 3. We didn't get rid of the pumper that we had, and we needed it. The 99 pumper is doing very well. It's past its prime, but they're really, pumpers are extremely expensive. And, to buy a used pumper, that has 150,000 miles on it, you're looking upwards of $100,000 to replace. So we've had some engine problems with, this 2008 pumper is $26,000. I'm still recommending that we go ahead and replace that. We do have the funds in this fiscal budget to pay for the engine cost and the maintenance on it.
Is that replaced engine?
It's replacing, it's repairing hardware. And, just wanted to bring it to your attention because it's quite a bit of money.
How many times have they repaired before?
There was a, repair that was done some time back. I do not know what the cost of that was. It was less than this amount. But it still has some good life to it. I think we should move forward. Staff understands the importance of the ladder truck. That's what we need more than anything, the ladder truck.
Absolutely.
We're also going to need another pumper truck. But the idea is that we fix this pumper and then we continue to hold this in reserve. So if we go out and purchase a new pumper in the near future, we'll have 2 pumpers at each station and 2 ladders at each station. So that's the direction that we're going. I know that this is older equipment, but we'll hold these pieces of equipment as reserve until we can afford to replace them with new.
I'd like to make a motion that we, accept the bid to repair the fire truck for the $26,183.
Second.
Motion from James. Carolyn did.
I did.
Okay, Carolyn seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Against, same. Okay, item 9 is discussion of the following with no council action. Frank, do you want to talk about homeless?
Well, we have a problem in the city with a bunch of homeless. Every city does. I spoke to a gentleman on the street, and he tried to get some help. And his problem that he was running into is that there's more help for women around here than for men. He's gone to several churches. I guess maybe some of the guys look a little rougher than the women, so the guys don't get it. The women are going to get their housing first. But they're just having a lot of things, and I believe we do have a lot of homeless behind Alley Royal back there, behind Tractor Supply, and people camping out back there. There's a lot of homeless. And under our.
Well, I don't think there's a lot, James, but there are homeless.
Homeless here.
There's not a lot, not compared to cities.
Maybe get out and ride around. I did make a call to the Coalition for the Homeless in Houston County. They cover Harris and Sanderson and Montgomery County. If somebody is looking for help and needs help right away, they can call 713-739-7514, and you can ask for the United Way at 211, and they'll help you right away. So that's what I have. I brought this to Bobby's attention along with some other things.
But what is it that the city can do, what would be our role?
Not very much.
That's what we're trying to
The thing
decide.
about it is, some of the people have to want help in order to get it. Some of them have mental issues. And, there was a place which Miss Shipley had downtown where they would come in, take showers, she would feed them, if they come in and let her know what the problems were. And there was also a organization out of Liberty County that came in as well to assist them in certain things. But a lot of people don't want the help. And I myself individually have talked to them, and it's very dangerous to approach some of these people because, like I say, a lot of them do have mental state of mind. And that United Way, that 211 or 411, that is an area, but a lot of them don't want the help.
Yeah, they
So-
are. But then they're stuck out, in our town places, so I don't know.
Well, I think a lot of the churches here in Cleveland, I think that I know the church, my church, You know, we do a lot for the homeless, as far as, if we identify somebody that's out there, we make sure they have something to eat. You know, get them a room, you know, until they can do a little better. But I'm pretty sure that the majority of the churches in the city have some type of outreach,
They do.
you know, for the homeless, for the needy. I mean, we have a food giveaway on the 17th of July. I mean, you know. But other than that, I don't see anything that the city could do. I mean, that's a problem that, you know.
I think the police department is aware of this, isn't that right, Mr. Phelps? Are they aware of some of the people and know them personally, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of it's unfortunate, and like Mrs. Clay said, a lot of them have to need help, want help. James touched upon behind Holly Oil, that there was an issue there. In fact, I reached out to Judge Steely, who's part of St. Mary's. He had set up a meeting with the pastor who preached there, and we were able to get some criminal trespass signs up because we were having issues behind Holly Oil with some fires, and we were worried that it was going to get worse. They had some death at the Tractor Supply, so we were able to trespass with the church, the Catholic Church, and they contacted the diocese. It was, you know, and we don't want to hammer people. We want to try to help, but like Clay said, some people they don't want help.
I think one thing we possibly can do as well as with the heat, the way it is now, maybe just inform some of the churches or maybe nonprofit organizations in the area. Maybe they want to just pass out water or something because it's so hot.
Yeah.
Cool down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Any other discussions on that item? Okay, we're gonna talk about the illegal dumping, and I think we all seen that in the city. Mike, what's the fine for illegal dumping right now?
Right now, it shows that, however, a fine or penalty for violation of rule, ordinance, or police regulation that governs dumping and refuse may not exceed 4,000. I don't know I was trying to figure out what the fee is for dumping and littering. It says, such ordinance shall not be punished by a fine amount not exceeding 500, and that's,
Scotty, y'all ever catch them?
I've been doing legal dumping since '98. When I've been here, it's a rough gig. We do catch them from time to time. If we can catch them in an act, or we get good witness information like, hey, I've got the license plate number, I saw them drive off. We can send them the summons. Successful prosecution is sometimes difficult. You don't have somebody saying, hey, I saw Scott Phelps driving that vehicle, get out and dump this. Because they'll play the old rope dope. Well, my cousin borrowed the vehicle, and they always have an out. With video cameras becoming more prevalent, we've had more success with the video cameras. Those are great, and I've always encouraged the business owners, hey, put that video camera on when it's feasible and you've got the money for the video camera on the dumpster.
You know, I think the big thing we talked about was making it to where people know where to carry their lawn clippings or whatever when they do have them, Bobby. And, you know, we talked about putting it on the water bill, and maybe putting a Western Waste Management would put roll off somewhere to where, you know, because people call me and say, well, where do I go? And I can say, hey, you can go out to the landfill out on 321, but then they really don't know. You know, don't know that do we have somebody out there
so
every day or?
Not on Mondays, they're there all day, and then, you can call them. You have some stuff to dump, and they'll come out and open up.
So staff had met over the issue, and we talked about some ways that we could reduce the problem, trash and illegal dumping. We have put some access gates in the Tanglewood area, and we placed these gates on unimproved roads with the objective to control the illegal dumping. The Tanglewood neighborhood that has, these gates installed. They've been successful. We've had them in the past, took them down, put them back up. And one of the problems that we've had is, folks want access to the back of the property. And so the way that we were able to put these gates back up is, have basically a double lock where they're able to have a code to access, have a secondary access to the property, for intermittent use. And that has been very successful. In the past, we've had a problem with the gates up and they can't get their trailer in the back and they may have a driveway in the back of the property. And so we've resolved that problem with gates. It may be possible that we continue to find other areas where we've had, unimproved roads that necessarily don't want, there's no homes or anything on. Continue to put gates up similar to the ones we have in the Tanglewood area that would help with areas basically that become hot zones for just dumping of trash. That was another issue. So we also talked about, resident dumping. We know that a majority of our trash is coming from areas that don't have service. So think about the county. Everybody knows the county has to go get their own service. They have to seek it. So you may have an individual or a residence that's decided that, no, we're not going to do trash service. We're going to burn our trash, or we're going to carry it off and dump it in the woods, and it ends up in the city. So I think a lot of the trash that we're seeing, some of it, is from outside. And we have a way of dealing with that. A lot of that's going to be education and information. So,
Some cameras.
yes. So we would put some cameras up, in these hot zones. We'd also put some signage up as well. In the hot zones.
When do we plan on doing it?
I wanted to bring this back to council and then get a feel for how we want to handle it.
There are people, I mean, if we say we want to do what's right to beautify our city, there's some people that's really, really struggling down there, you know, in certain areas.
Yes.
That people come and dump refrigerators, stoves, couches, mattresses, and it's already a flood area anyway. And, yeah, I mean, it's already, you know, those people, those are the most vulnerable people that really need help from the city. You know, that's where we need to start at.
Right.
So
If-
and I hear you, this. I'm sorry, Bobby, explaining. So I would suggest basically just to pinpoint those areas that you see that's more trouble and, install the cameras. And not only that, post signs to let them know that if you are caught dumping illegally, you will be fined. So if you put those signs there, they're gonna think about it. I mean, some people may overlook it, but if you put those signs there, like large dollar amount, and put those cameras there, even if you don't have the camera, say camera install, you know, put that sign there, and I think that would sort of.
And that's what we want to do. We will look at cameras on these hotspots, but in these hotspots that we're talking about, we also incorporate the signage, as you say. But we're thinking that maybe we can get into the Don't Mess with Texas campaign and have those signs. And basically have a sign at the top that says, you know, littering and illegal dumping, and have the fine amount on it. But below it also have instructions on where to take the trash.
Right.
And even have it color coded as far as don't do this in red and green. This is where you take it, and these are the hours of the operation.
That's a good idea.
So it's kind of a stick and carrot education.
What can we do? What can we do
They don't care how much.
to increase the penalty, the fine?
I don't know if we can, you know, I asked David, and he
I wanna know, I mean, I would like for the people that come down there and dump, I would like to see them pay a penalty because it affects the most vulnerable people in Liberty County that live in that area. I mean, they just trying to survive. It ain't about no how something look, they just want to survive.
What I found,
And those people have suffered for years, and, you know, it's never anything done. We could at least put some cameras up.
So if we
Trying to think y'all can hit that on that loose spot, you know, where we're talking about that goes behind the prison, then goes all the way, you know, that, when they do that, it causes flood issues.
On our end of it, the difficulty, and just like nighttime brokers, it's difficult to get them in act. You know, I'm walking around doing I'm looking for headlights, and it's difficult. The cameras is a good solution, you know, we caught
I know.
a crook out there by the airport when they were breaking into the water, but good cameras. The $99 cameras at Walmart doesn't catch the license plate, so that's something that factor in too, when you get a good camera, you get high resolution. And we could prosecute these people, or we can at least go out from the.
I'd like to see anybody that goes down there and I'd like to see them prosecuted. And I'm on the record, if I see you, I will turn you in. You know, because that's not right, that's wrong. You know, and we should try to protect the people that, you know, they don't have no other option.
Right now, the fine is $500 for trash less than equal to 5 pounds or 5 gallons. Repeat offender can face up to 2,000 or 180 days.
So it's not any way we can, increase that.
That's the state.
That's what they told me.
So we would like to have the signage, basically the carrot and stick with this is the fine. If the fine's not high enough, we can set it to whatever whatever the local is. But I believe it's a state law at 500. We could join that Don't Mess with Texas campaign. Have those signs up there, but have the sign that shows them where they can where they can take it and be legal as far as dumping it to the proper site.
I think we need to do something on Facebook, we need to do something we do the water bill. We talked about putting something on the water bill, telling people where they could go. You know, most people call it, they say, where can I carry it? Well, I say, you know, like I say, if it's on Monday, but could we put something where they could call and somebody could tell them, say, hey, here's what you do. I mean, we all get trash, especially if storm comes up, you get limbs and crap, and you can't just dump out in the street. Of course, the street sweeper could get behind them.
So do we have a cost at, the signs that you're talking about, Bobby? Do we have a approximate cost or something that?
I don't have a cost right now. I can't imagine it being too expensive to do that. I think we could fund that out of operations and do that project.
Yes.
We also have the possibility of, we'd like to add in the budget process, increasing services. And the idea is buying a truck that had a ability to thumb, I guess you could say, to pick up the garbage. And basically a resident to call and say, I have this piece of trash, I have a couch that doesn't meet the standards of waste management, can you come pick it up? The crews could go and pick it up. Now that means that we need additional personnel, but I think we're heading in that direction anyways with all the homes that we're building a house a day. The idea is that we would have additional staff that be supported through water and sewer fund, and they would be on a detail that would be called out and take this truck. Basically, it would be a one-man operation, drive the truck, and you can get on this thumb and pick up a large piece like a couch or whatever, and put it into the truck and then dispose of it. Now that's like curbside service. We already have bulk pickup through waste management, but it's only certain times of the month that they have it. So this would allow us to go and take care of it as soon as possible. A lot of people don't want to wait an entire month for their bulk trash.
And I'm sorry. A lot of people just want to dump. I mean, they're just gonna do it. But does anyone take advantage of the, last day bulk pickup? Is that pretty successful or no?
They do, but I think that folks don't know what day it is, and so they'll either put it by the curb or they'll just get rid of it. They don't want it in front of their house. So the idea is, if we increased our services and we had a truck that could go pick up bulk trash and take it to our location. The point is that we already have a location for people to take the trash, and it's still not getting where it needs to be.
Exactly.
But I think even on the water bill, Carol, maybe put on there highlighted what day they do, you know.
Exactly,
The day,
yeah.
and maybe do it every time it comes up the month,
Yeah.
so people would know to put that.
It is the last day of the month, right, for the
Last
pickup?
Thursday.
Last Thursday of the month.
Now, I'm gonna hit on this, but waste management, half the time when people put stuff out there, a lot of times, they don't pick it up.
I agree.
And I've been over this over and over, and I don't know how many times I've called waste management. They just, I mean,
That's why I think the city's gonna have to supplement the service, to be able to pick it up and take it to the roll-offs.
Yeah,
so
this is
we
why-
pay waste management to do that, though. That's my point.
And we don't wanna get in the garbage business if we can help it. We don't want
But
that.
there's, you know, their contract states that it has to be a certain, you know, can't be more than 4 feet or whatever it is. They have restrictions that keep them from
Yeah, they do.
picking up their trash, and the point is that we've gotta pick it up.
We've
Go
hired,
back, sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
We go back to sit the dumpster side at a certain time for the disposable waste and furniture and stuff like that. We used to have like a couple of dumpsters out and people would come and put their batteries and this and that in and couches, whatever.
And we talked about that. Our fear is that we're gonna
Yeah.
get hazardous materials that we can't get rid of.
See, like,
Then we
if you
can-
set a dumpster out, you know, people, they gonna come put TVs. You can't put TVs, that's hazardous waste, tires. I mean, they won't
Refrigerators
take
and
that.
things
You
like
can't,
that.
you can't take that to the landfill.
Well, they used to, West Wayne, used to like put out dumpsters in certain places. Then they placed, somebody was there to watch what they would put out
Right,
at
and
certain times.
right, and so having somebody there to monitor it might not be as cost effective as somebody being on call and go get it when they call it in. If we have a truck. But that's an added service, and you're correct, we already have waste management, we have bulk trash. There are some things that they're not going to pick up. And I'm not even talking about toxic or hazardous materials, they're just things that are too big that they're not going to pick up. And
Well, you know, they'll pick up your refrigerator and stuff, but you're supposed to have it, the Freon out of it before you, which is crazy. I mean, I just go out there, cut the thing, and they run out and say, I got the bag here. But
we looked at other options as well as, you know, our bayous have a lot of trash in it and as well as the streets. So the adopt a street program and an adopt a bayou program, they are effective. And if we could put signs out, if we wanted to go that direction and let, folks adopt a street or adopt a bayou and recognize that company, that organization, they got their name out there, so they're doing a wonderful thing, but it's also an obligation that they're going to take care of that bayou, that street.
I think that's a good idea.
we're gonna meet with, Warden Coffin, that's out here, and he's hopefully gonna tell us, maybe he'll let some of his people
Oh, good.
come and work, do some of the pickup and
That'd
trash.
be great.
We'd be outstanding. Bobby told me that we've hired a code inspection lady that will be here the 13th of July.
Perfect.
So the gentleman that we're using now, he was just temporarily,
Do what?
the gentleman that we were using,
But this would be,
part-time?
this would be code enforcement. This is filling a position.
Okay.
She'll be here on the 13th of
She
July.
got her work cut out for her.
Yes.
I
We'll
get
get on the ball rolling.
I get
Can we go back and take the trash from white weeds that are on?
We can, it's gonna be more expensive, to do that option. We can ask them to provide that option, and we will go out for bids for trash service, and that might be the perfect time to ask for twice a week versus once a week trash pickup.
I'm all for that. All for that.
I think the signs are a good idea too, I like that, the signs, and then be permanent, and you can put the illegal dumping and where to go, I think that would be good. Did you get the word out that that's money worth spent on cleaning up the city? It's a start, it's an effort. And we just have to keep pushing forward.
Yeah,
And stop.
so the access gates are gonna help. The Adopt a Bayou, Adopt a Street program. The signs of carrot and stick education on those hot spots. And the possibility of increased services, I don't know if council wants to go that direction. We'll get the numbers available for you during the budget process if we want to go that direction in providing that additional curbside service. Now, we hire another person, that's not all they're gonna do, but we can anticipate the amount of hours that we would spend towards those types of
But those guys are needed somewhere else.
Curbside, that might be too.
Yeah, but why don't they do like I did? I had some stuff that, old fence I took down, and I loaded it up on the back of my truck and took it down to the dump. And that's what I did.
Well, I think we need to advertise that.
Yeah.
I agree,
You
I
can't do it, and
And they will, I mean, if you call them, they'll come and unlock it for you.
we'll put on the,
Yeah, they will.
right, and it's, a lot of it is just education, so if we have these kind of signs in the hot spots, it says that, hey, you can take your trash, over here, on the, our east side of the wastewater treatment plant, and it's available at the time, I think that's a step forward.
Yeah.
They'll think about, well, I don't have to dump it into this road and take, possibly get fined for it. I can take it somewhere in the middle of the dog. Which I still feel like a lot of this trash is not around. And I think that we kind of need to work with the county to see if we can work with them on getting possibly a transfer station site available that's more regional for everybody to take the trash.
Okay, but now you still hadn't confirmed that on those cameras. That's,
We can put cameras on those hot spots. We'll do something similar to what we did at the airport, water.
But I got notified, like, we down there, they got a notification, and that was actually a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
you know, Scotty, if you just got them one time, you probably send them message to a lot of people.
Oh, trust me, I love getting them. They do it to me too, trust me, I know. The dumping that hurts, it's not.
We already do it. There's no price. It's just a matter of educating
You
people.
have to make sure that the person's there, and you have to say when they're there, or who to call.
Right. So basically, we'd have signs that says illegal dumping, the fine, and then below it have another sign that can say where they can take it.
And I will say, with prevalence of cameras, I think a lot of people are they're camera aware, so they don't go to these dumpsters at the businesses. We used to get a lot of calls from the businesses, and we don't get those calls anymore. And I think they're going down the roads, the dead end roads, those areas, and they're dumping because they're scared of cameras, and they're aware of cameras, so they're going to more rural areas and get these areas.
I think it's Lily Street and Ross Street. I mean, that's just not fair to those people that do it. Not fair.
Back up just a minute on the,
Go ahead.
down where you got the prison, where the prison is, and then like you're gonna go inside the gravel.
Yeah, right. On
Is
the
there
back.
any kind of way that those leaches can be dug out, so that the water can just sit in there? But when you go to, at the prison in the wooded area, it's like a lake, then you got all the bottom. It's a fenced in area, like quarantine or whatever, it just sits there. And the water just sits there, accumulates and gets higher. Then what we move to make that water move,
And we get to see it grading, but we just don't have a lot of fall in this area to allow for the water to drain off. But I'll look at that specific.
and I noticed going down 321 now, what is that? Before you get to the VFW hall, that bridge on your right side, I don't know if they finna build something or what, but I slowed down the other day, because I look like they're gonna close that waterway off. I I said, now that's probably why the water is backing back up. Cause, my parents been on Reese was since 1962, and we had never ever flooded, period. And it's just amazing how all that water came back. I think it's called the value.
I agree, there's, I also have here on flooding, if we wanna switch over to that.
I think it's a mixture of, the new building, how the earth is shifting or elevating from maybe dirt that's brought in, but when it rains and all that trash flows, it's stopping those covers up. And I saw this, I was looking for the pictures, and that last flood, when, I got the call that it was flooding in the city, I didn't have any flood, I didn't have any rain on my hand, so I just literally got in my car to see what they were talking about. And driving this highway here, even down by the shopping center, those covers was stopped up with trash, with paper, they're stopped up. So I feel like if we had some type of device to unplug the covers that are good, because some of them are not good, some of them are broken or just no longer there. But the ones that I saw, they're there, but they're stopped up, so the water's just sitting there. And I feel like if they can unplug them, then maybe possibly that water will flood somewhere. Another thing that I noticed when riding, there's no detention ponds. We have no holding ponds in the area. So when they built that school, they should have put a holding pond someplace. Even with that new subdivision, I don't know if they have one in the back,
Well,
but
Grand Oaks does have one.
yeah, but we need holding ponds in this area. I mean, there's so much growth going on, we need a place for that water to go. But we need to replace those covers, we need to unplug the covers that are existing so that the water can flow. It has to go somewhere, it has to. And if it begins to flow, then we won't see the elevation of the water in the areas that we're seeing.
Again, really the only way to effectively take care of the ponding is to have regional detention. And I do believe that we need to do the regional detention, but we also have to have everybody in the watershed participate. Because if we take up our valuable real estate and turn it into detention ponds, we're just creating extra capacity for everybody upstream from us. So I would like for us to work with the county to see if we could get a flood control district where you're looking at this at the county level or the flood basin level, not just the city. I do think that we need to do local regional detention. I just think it'd be more effective if everybody participated. And I really think that we need to go to the county and push that issue.
It can be part of the tributaries, they're all running to the river, right, Kansas Center and out here. And like where Chevrolet is and out toward Burger King, where all those covers are underground, there's not only what's in them, or who look in them now. Not like.
Well, we cleaned them out before, they cleaned them out.
Yeah.
But you got, the most water you got with flood problems right through here going to Lewis Valley, which whenever that all gets full, there's nothing the city of Cleveland can do. When that's full, it just has nowhere to go. Same with the rivers, if the rivers are on tear, that water doesn't, it doesn't have anywhere to go. I mean, but it's not the city of Cleveland that issue.
Right, no.
We're gonna have to get something done outside.
Now, we asked for the CDBG assistance, the $10 million. We scored very high, but we didn't get it. We've asked for an appeal, and the answer that we get back is we should have a response by the end of the month. They always tell us that. So we do have that funding available.
Can we keep writing them again and again and
Yes,
again?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Write them every day?
I talked to Bales about it tonight, and Babbitt,
I do do think that we need to select areas, one of them being over in the sports complex, the wooded area is just to the north of the ball field, past the football field. That needs to be a regional detention area for flood water. I think the regional detention works much better. You can see the cities that have regional detention, they seem to do a better job at containing the water than having the individual businesses create detention. Sometimes they fill up, sometimes you could have a Harvey event and there's no water in their detention basin. So I think that regional detention is the answer, but I would like everyone to participate regionally.
When you say everyone, who are you talking about?
County.
The county.
Oh, okay. So I think that's what we need to focus on and like ASAP, go ahead and try to schedule a meeting so that we can, because we don't want to wait till a flood or a catastrophe come and then try to work on this. So if we could go ahead and try to schedule a meeting with the county, I think that would be a great start.
Anyone else have anything to add?
Thank you for the input, I appreciate it.
We're gonna have a meeting, Thursday at noon for one item, and that's to talk about the,
Resolution in support of the Skyway.
Oh, so we still in the ballgame on it?
We're still in the ballgame, but, we'll see how that works out.
are we gonna meet here or with, by Zoom? It's just one item, I mean, what's
It's
council?
the, majority of the council that responded, will be by Zoom. There will be one or two that will be here, but most will be by Zoom.
I'm gonna be by Zoom, that's my first thing.
I mean, so,
You know, Bobby Charles personally does not.
anybody else have anything? A motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Y'all take care.
Chief Broussard, and we all know Roger